There's probably about a 1,500 square foot classroom that's ready to go as of today, from what I understand. Is that correct? So I think there's going to be some opportunity, yes, sir. And the one thing I'd also add, just, a lot of these, I know we're a little frustrated with lighting and AV equipment, but with all that's been going on in the world, having that delay, man, you guys have done a great job of, I know, Gary, you and Gallagher have really done a great job of adjusting product as need be to ensure that we've got everything in on time. So, Kim, everybody, great job on that and keeping us on track for almost every project.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just ditto on that, with all the interruptions with everything and equipment, I'm sure, and labor. So thank y'all for staying on task, and had a lot of projects going on still. Don't know if you have any other districts with this many, but we appreciate what you're doing for us. We're moving on then to item 6, public forum. At this time, nobody has signed up to speak, so we'll move on to number 7, the consent agenda. Remember, the board may take action on each of them separately or collectively. 7A is approve the minutes from the May 28th board workshop. 7B is approve minutes from the May 20th regular board minutes. And then 7C is approve the budget amendment. And 7D is approve the furniture purchase for admin phases 2 through 4 and North Forney cafeteria expansions. Do I have a motion from the board? Okay, Mr. Johnson made a motion to approve them collectively. Do I have a second? Second. Ms. Dobbs? I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on to item 8, consideration and possible approval of the 2020-2021 budget. Mr. Chase, Chief Financial Officer.
So the budget that we had presented during the budget workshop, that's what we're recommending for approval tonight. And just kind of back up to what we were looking at before. I think you probably already had this in your budget book, but this is the budget that we're recommending for approval. And if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. And as you heard earlier in the workshop, any further questions that you've thought of? Anybody? Okay. Do I have a recommendation by Dr. Terry?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Yeah, I very proudly recommend this budget approval, and I think we should make it contingent on Mr. Chase taking a vacation after it's approved. But,
okay.
So.
Nice.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion the board approve the 2020-2021 budget as presented and recommended.
I have a motion, Mr. Andrews. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Carroll. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 9, consideration and possible approval of the 2020-21 employee compensation plan. Mr. Chase.
The employee compensation plan, depending on what document you're following along in, if you're looking at just your budget book that was delivered to you on Monday, it started on page 22. If you're looking in the board book, it's on page 122, excuse me, as a board book, and 136 is what is in the board book. So either one of those page numbers will work for you to flip to that comp plan. But just by way of review, that you approved the teacher salary schedule that's included in that doc back in I believe April, and the rest of it is for all the other positions in the district. We made some adjustments this year, slid some positions, moved some of the structure around in the compensation plan, and renumbered some of the folks that were included in each one of the levels on that compensation plan. Looked at some market comparisons and just tried to make sure that we've got a good market-based compensation plan, because in years past it's been somewhat of a struggle, particularly in some of our professional support categories like diagnosticians and speech therapists and things of that nature. We were having a really tough time finding people at the salary that we were offering on the compensation plan that we were offering. So This year, with that change that we're recommending, we feel like we're having a lot better success attracting folks. It's a more of a market-based salary schedule, I think, and so we're asking the board to approve that compensation plan as it's being presented tonight, and if there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Do I have any questions from the board? I hear none. Dr. Terry, what's your recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Just to reiterate what Mr. Chase said, this has been a 3-year process of really getting our compensation plan up to a market competitive level, and we finally got to that middle range, and really, really proud to almost eliminate our contractual staffing for some of our special education positions because we were able to actually hire this year out. So very proud of the comp plan that we're putting forward. It's very market competitive, and recommend approval tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chase and Dr. Terry. Do I have a motion for the 2021 employee compensation plan?
Mr. Ferris, I move that we approve the 2021 employee compensation plan as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Green. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. So moved. Moving on then to item number 10, consideration and possible approval of the 2021 TASBEEH delegate and alternate selection. I'll present at this time. This is our annual convention, and I'm confident there will be some type of convention this fall. It may be virtual, who knows, but I'm sure there'll be some type of convention. So we need to nominate and approve those delegates and the alternate. So do I have a nomination for the delegate to represent our board at the TASBEEH 2021 convention this fall?
Mr. Ferris, I would like to nominate Christopher Andrews for our 2020-2021 TASBEEH delegate.
Okay, I have a nomination from Ms. Green for Christopher Andrews to be our delegate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Dobbs. So I have a motion and a second for that. Ms. Terry, you got that one? Okay, we'll move on then. Do we have a nomination for our alternate to attend the 2021 TASBEEH?
Mr. Ferris, I would like to nominate Scott Vegan for our 2020-2021 TASBEEH alternate.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Andrews.
Johnson.
So I have a nomination by Ms. Green, a second by Mr. Andrews for Scott Regan as the alternate to attend the TASBEEH. Ms. Terry, if you'll take both those and get them registered as needed, we would appreciate that very much. Thank you. Moving on to item 11, consideration and possible approval of construction bids. Ms. Kim Morsack.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. At this time, I'll ask Jeff Fisher from Gallagher Construction to come forward and discuss the bids for Package 2 for Griffin Elementary.
Hello again. As I mentioned earlier in the construction report, we took bids or proposals on Package 2 of Griffin Elementary School on the 16th of this month, and we tabulated all of those bids. I think you got the bid tabulation in your packet. You can see if you go down the bid tab that we got a good number of bids in almost all of the categories, a lot more than what we really expected and a lot more than what we've been seeing in recent past. So we were real happy with that. We took and did our normal process on interviewing the respective low bidders and came up with a project total that includes the Package 1 numbers of $32,997,756, and then we had an alternate number 1 for $79,021, and that alternate was to add bus canopies out in front of the school. So as you may recall, the budget that we had established on this project was $40,800,000. So with the base bid and the alternate, we're about $7.8 million under what was budgeted, which is a good thing. And we were real happy to see that as well. So we're recommending tonight approval of the base bid and alternate number 1, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have on it.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions from the board? Dr. Terry, what's your recommendations?
Would happily recommend that we accept the bids tonight. This is about a $7 million cost avoidance under budget. Add that on to, I think, around $50 million from roads in Jackson Intermediate and Middle School. And just, man, that's great news, Jeff. Y'all done a great job with this, so thank you very much. So recommend approval of the bids tonight.
Moving on then, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that the board approve the construction bids as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Dobbs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 12, consideration possible approval of the 2021 lunch prices. Mr. John Chase.
I thank you, Mr. Ferris. Just, the board's aware, we've done this, I think, the last at least 5 years. Looking at the lunch prices and since we accept federal government support to help us operate our food service department, you know, they have a little say-so on what we can charge as far as our lunches go. So when you look at the formulas that they use in order to determine what they want us to set our target price at, it appears that we need to add 10 cents to our lunch prices again for next year in order to meet their standards. And then if you use the same standards on the breakfast prices, we'd be adding 10 cents as well to that. So what we're recommending next year as far as the lunch prices go, the middle and high school will be $3.10, elementary schools will be $3, and the breakfasts will be $1.60 across the district. If you got one student in the district, again, we've done the math with this before, assuming they eat a reimbursable meal every day that the school is open, it costs a family about $17 more per student per year. So it's not a lot, but it's not the greatest time in the world to be raising lunch prices, but it's a very small amount in the grand scheme of things. In the alternate, if we didn't raise the prices, the government does allow us to kick in money from the general fund to do that. But with the uncertainty about how many kids will actually be here eating lunch in our cafeterias next year, I wouldn't recommend us committing more than what we may already be committed to if we end up serving less meals than projected. So my recommendation again is to increase the high school and middle school to $3.10, elementary to $3, and breakfast to $1.60.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Any questions from the board? You hear none. Dr. Terry, you got any comments?
No comments, just a recommendation. I recommend the 2020-2021 lunch prices as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion to approve the 2020-2021 lunch prices as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson?
Andrews.
Andrews? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you very much. Item number 13 we took out of order earlier, so we'll move on then to item number 14. Number 14, consideration possible approval regarding the ratification employment of professional contract personnel. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Ferris, I move that we approve the ratification of professional contract personnel as presented in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Andrews? Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Then number 15, consideration and possible approval of the superintendent's evaluation instrument. May I have a motion?
Ferris, I make a motion that we approve this new superintendent evaluation instrument as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Dobbs. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Carroll? Thank you very much. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 16, announcements. Monday, August the 3rd at 6 p.m., we'll have a regular school board meeting in here. Jeff says it'll be ready to roll, right? Okay. So then on Thursday, August the 6th, our official groundbreaking, 8:30 a.m. for Jerry and Helen Griffith Elementary School at Devonshire. And then Friday, August the 7th, 8:30 a.m., the official groundbreaking for Tony Jackson Middle School and the Tim Rhodes Intermediate School. And then Monday, August 17th, will be the first day of school, unless you hear otherwise. So at this time, we'll call it 8:29. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.